Hey guys, Zach and I are here to give you a preview from Attack Run, one of the next packs for the Star Wars living card game, and it's an important pack because it seems like things are rolling finally with this game. Are they not?
I mean, they definitely are, and like this cycle's been really cool because it's focusing on vehicles. It's the Rogue Squadron cycle, and it's kind of an element of the game that's been there. I mean, Sleuth Scouts won the first World Championship, and you've always had the Defense You Have in 4 style Rebel decks going on. But it's something that's really being explored, and then they've introduced the new pilot mechanic, which is when characters attach to ships, which is pretty cool.
That's how you pilot things.
And I mean, this is a huge part of the Star Wars universe, right? Like, it just, a lot of times people think about Jedi and Sith and whatnot, but like, those are like 1 out of a million people, not the everyday guy that hops in a ship and is going to collect his bounty.
It's true, man. It's true, and I think that's why those characters have such an appeal. Even like the role-playing games that FFG is doing, like, the one that I heard the most excitement about was like the Fringes one, like the scum guys and the guys that aren't the Jedi and they aren't fighting, they aren't the rebels. They're just out there doing their thing, making a living. So let's take a look at this objective set. I think it's a really important one. I'm just gonna treat this like softball, and I'm gonna throw you some things. And you can
I'll
try to knock
deliberate
them out
my
of the
brain.
park here. Yeah. We're gonna start with probably the quickest preview. The Hunter's Flight is the objective set.
Okay.
That this is. It is 2 resources and 5 health. With no text, it's Tatooine.
Tatooine can be important.
But it does have Ye Ol' Slave 1 on the art there, so we can only assume.
It does. I mean, so like the standard objective is a 5-1, right? And so a 5-2 that doesn't have any drawbacks and actually has a trait that you want, which is Tatooine. And I'm super curious to see if they explore that trait a little bit. They have somewhat. It's like Sarlacc has to go on a Tatooine location or that kind of stuff. The light side has some Tatooine protectors, but I have a feeling, just saying, we'll get that kind of stuff soon. But that art is also awesome.
Very good art and cool flavor text talking about how basically Boba was being hunted by all these bounty hunters because he had Han and he was taking him to Jabba. So
turns out
super good.
If you kill the bounty hunter.
Well, let's take a look at why we're all here, which is Boba Fett. The man, 4 cost, 3 edge icons. He's unique, of course. He's got a unit damage and 2 objective damages, all black there. And then he's got a white or edge-enabled tactics icon.
All right.
So interesting to see Boba Fett with the tactics there. Character, bounty hunter, pilot. He is elite, never a bad thing. And he has a pilot of 2, cost 2. Reaction after this card is attached as a pilot. Capture a target unit with printed cost 4 or lower and without any enhancements on it. What do you think about that, Zach?
It's really bad.
Spot removal.
Just kidding. This is phenomenal.
Attach him for 2?
So hold on. Can I back up for a second?
Yes.
So Boba Fett is a 4-cost character that has 3 Force icons, 4 combat icons, and 3 health. Pause right there. That's pretty good.
And elite.
And he has elite. Elite is something that Scum struggles with. Like, they don't have very much elite. So committing guys is a huge sacrifice. And he's a decent guy that you'd want to commit. And like elite
We're going to commit Boba to the Force here?
If you need to.
How does that work?
I mean, sometimes you have to.
Pretty awesome on the Force, actually.
Yeah,
just
right.
Thinking about
the Force sensitive Boba Fett's terrifying. Anyways, I think elite and these combat icons, 2 black objective damage is huge. He has the edge enabled tactics. Like that in and of itself, forget the ability, forget the pilot thing, is a very interesting character, especially for Scum. And then you add in the pilot ability, which is insane. This is
incredibly useful.
I mean, I'm trying to think of all the pilot abilities, and like, I'm a control player.
Nothing's more relevant than this.
So this is like my favorite, and it's like it's not limited to vehicles. It's not limited to, the only thing is it can't have an enhancement. And so this whole cycle has been playing on this pilot idea, and they count as enhancements. So like you can't snipe a vehicle that has a pilot on it or whatever. But like for 2 cost, like pay 2, capture 4 cost or less.
4 cost or less, yeah.
That alone, and then he's on the ship. So there's a ton of ships that either like it's coming out like right now. There's an objective set with 2 ships in it that gain the combat icons of the attached pilot.
Incredible.
And it's like,
that's terrifying.
What? And you capture it? So like
what?
And then thinking about one of the edge cards that's coming out in this cycle, or has been coming out with objectives in this cycle, stay on target, is you can play a pilot from your hand or discard pile onto a ship.
Yeah, that's important.
And it's like, I'm going to attack with this little ship, and then you play 1 edge card, they didn't block or whatever, and it's like, oh, I'll capture Luke.
Yeah.
What?
All right, man, I'm a firm believer.
6 thumbs up.
Before you go any further, it's important to just go and get to the next card, which is his ship, Slave 1.
I love this. Hold on.
4 cost, 3 Force icons, vehicle transport, 2 unit damage, and 1 objective damage in black, and then 1 objective damage in white.
All right.
And this is why this is important. It's 3 health. Interrupt. When a pilot card you control leaves play, Boba, for instance, return it to its owner's hand instead.
Limit once per turn.
Once per turn.
So, first off, this whole, I mean, we've seen it in some previews where it's like you have Luke with with Red 5, you have Vader with his advanced, and you have these pilots coming with their ships, which is so cool.
Yeah.
And, you know, early on in the game, it was like there was Luke and there was Red 5. You couldn't put Luke on Red 5, and they were in different objective sets, so you had to kind of run all these objectives to make stuff happen. But in this case, both being here, both being 3 edge icons, this is just for edge battles, these cards are going to be great.
Massive.
Let alone that ability. And like, there's so many pilots that are coming out, and it's like you just bounce it to your hand. I mean, yeah. So you bounce Boba to your hand. Now you can either replay Boba, or you can just use him in an edge battle. Like it's useful in every sense of the game. And again, thinking about Scum's strengths and weaknesses, the fact that Boba has elite, but then looking at the objective damage across this so far, one thing they tend to struggle with is getting the job done, like getting the objective damage in. And this has 2 big units that have big damage with solid health. So
they're definitely getting the objective damage done, and both 4 costs.
I mean, I have to ask, like, are the rest of the cards blank?
No, they're not, Zach. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
We're going to start with a non-blank Den of Thieves, a 2-cost location, has 1 resource, enhance your play area. Reduce the cost of the pilot cost of the first pilot card you play each turn by 1.
Yep, and this is
for 1.
Every faction's getting a resource kind of like this, or every affiliation. And useful resource, it's not limited, which is important, so you can play it and other resources on the first turn or whatever. And then every turn there on out, you're getting -1 pilot. And like that returns, if you have a pilot in hand, you get the 1 back immediately.
I mean, right here, just with the resource and the ability, you pay 2 for Den of Thieves, put Boba in for free, basically, because you use this resource and then the 1.
Yeah.
So after that, it's just gravy.
Yeah, they're super solid resources. I think it's just it's not like the in the Echo cycle there was the resource that if you win the 4-star you remove 1, right?
Yeah.
And those are like bonkers good. Like they change the game how good they are. And these are just like cool, unique, solid resources that fit so well into the theme of this cycle without going overboard. Like you're not gonna like just win the game because this thing's out, but it's not going to hurt.
It's not going to hurt. Let's look at also at a 0-cost event. I think this is really where things go.
Look at that art, dude.
Yeah. 0-cost event, 1 Force icon, Bail Out. Has an interrupt. When a piloted vehicle unit you control leaves play, put its attached pilot card into play as a unit under your control.
Okay.
Can you imagine the math on this?
Yeah,
you put Boba in. You capture a dude, maybe you use him for a while, then the vehicle gets blown up, and you bail out Boba onto the board, and now you have an elite, guy that we've been talking about. The synergy in this thing is pretty immense.
Yeah, I mean, I think Star Wars, if nothing else, is defined by key moments in the game. There are a handful of moments that just, it's like the movies, right? There's big moments that happen, and that's part of what makes the game so awesome. And this is the kind of card that creates moments, right?
Yeah.
Where it doesn't look like you can win the game on this turn, and then you can. Or it doesn't look like you can stop me. And like my mind immediately goes towards, do I have ways to myself destroy my own things?
Yeah.
To bail my own guy out, right? Where it's like, I'm thinking of cards like Aggression from Sith, where it's pay 1, I'm going to sacrifice this cheap vehicle with Boba on it. You now have to sacrifice a dude, and I get Boba Fett in play. Yeah. So there's just some big plays. I will say, like, curiously with this card, and Boba Fett, part of me wants Boba Fett to be in my hand or discard pile.
Yeah.
And not on the board.
Yeah.
Because I can't use his pilot ability over and over again. But depending on the board state, putting that unit onto the board 4-0 after he's done his pilot ability and been a pilot.
Well, I think that's the good thing about the design of this is that you want Boba everywhere.
All the wares.
It has to be somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And so like you have cards that benefit when he's on the board or when he's in your discard pile, when he's in your hand. And that's really what you want. You don't want it to be so obvious that it's like, oh, here's how you play this card.
Yep,
it's like I can play it and adapt and do things. And speaking of stay on target, here in the objective set, 2 Force icons, put a pilot card in play from your hand or discard pile as an enhancement on a target friendly vehicle unit. In this objective set, with all these cards.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's fascinating about these cycles and these fake cards that are so synergistic within the cycle, right? Like Battle of Hoth is the same way. Echoes was a little different because it committed and removed guys from the Force, which is something you're going to do no matter what happens. But with Stay on Target, and even the last 3 cards, right? Den of Thieves, Bailout, and Stay on Target, they're all very pilot-centric.
Yes.
So part of my caution and I guess concern moving forward is how, like, for this objective set, I mean, now that 3 cards are dependent on pilots to do much of anything, where does it fit into the grand scheme of decks in the future when right now pilots are exciting and there's a bunch of them coming out, but like for these 3 cards to be worthwhile, you really need a decent number of pilots. And I mean, so
how many do you think, like if I had 4 objectives, let's say I have 2 of this and 2 of another that has at least 1 pilot in it. So I got 4 pilots total in the deck. Is that enough? Do you think you need 6? I mean, I would not feel comfortable unless I had about 6. So I would think like at least 6 objective sets in my deck need to have pilots.
I mean,
involved.
So there's the I forget the name of the objective set for Imperials, but it has 2 of the Academy pilots in it. Mm-hmm. The pilot 0, they do nothing, but they just attach to a ship. And like a lot of ships will say, gains the Force icons, gains this, can discard the pilot to do X or Y or Z. So like, I don't know the exact number of objectives, but I think the 6 to 8 pilots of some kind are really where you're going to need to land. Or it's tough. Like it just depends on what objectives they put out and how many pilots you can feasibly get. Like if there was one objective set that had 5 pilots that gave a ship objective damage, a single objective damage, it's like run that and then you're good to go. Like you have a lot of them. So I don't know. Like Boba's super powerful, obviously. Like a 2 cost. Grab a dude, grab a character off the board. And maybe 0 is stay on target, right? Like there's a lot of play here. And like I was saying with Bailout, stay on target is the kind of card that can win games.
Absolutely.
It creates these moments where Boba Fett's in the discard pile and then he's on my ship, I captured a thing, I blew my own ship up, ejected him to the board, and it's like that's the turn where I just blow up everything. So I think this is a great objective set. It's not like just super obviously insane, but it makes me want to build about 6 decks right now.
Yeah, man, and we haven't even seen. I mean, this is the 3rd pack of the cycle, the attack run.
We just got the 3rd pack, so this will be the 4th pack.
So we've got 2 more coming. So we haven't even explored the full potential of all of these pilots. And I cannot imagine that this is the end of the pilot trait. You know,
absolutely not. I mean,
we're gonna get more pilots. We're gonna get deluxe, the whole thing.
Yeah. It's sort of like, I mean, we've had more Hoth since the Hoth cycle. We've had more, like, I think we'll continue to get Echoes, Force related things. But in this case, like, they actually went back and made some of the original core set things that attached to ships pilots. Nice. So I would not be surprised to continue to see pilots, and I hope we do. And like, it's unlike Hoth, right? So for Hoth to really get tied back into, you have to have a Hoth objective.
Yeah.
And there's only so many locations on Hoth.
Yeah.
It's pretty icy. And so that is, I think, a lot tougher than pilots, right? Like we can always have more pilots. There's pilots every direction you look in Star Wars.
Yeah, and you can even just have just like a one-of pilot in some objective set that has no other pilot support. Just like, here's a guy, he's an okay character, and he's also a pilot.
Yeah, I mean, like, so it's like that Boba Fett, right? Like, I would play that Boba Fett if he was in my hand.
Yeah.
I would want him to have some other ability, but his ability is the pilot thing. So if you have a ship out, put him on there, capture a dude, and rock and roll. Insane. So I think it's a supremely well-balanced objective set. Not going to, like, destroy the game, but also so useful. There's going to be decks that use this. Like, I'm going to build an Imperial Scum deck today.
You heard it here first, guys. There's the preview from Attack Run with Boba Fett, Slave 1, and just some real heat. So thank you guys for watching. We got more previews coming. And, of course, if you would like these packs, we do have subscriptions. So jump on those and get your pack every month without lifting a finger. Thanks, guys. See ya.